Libra, pause for a second. Because if you clicked on this right now, it's not random. There's a quiet shift happening around you. Not loud, not dramatic, but deep enough to change everything. You've been holding the balance for too long, carrying weight that was never yours, smiling, while something inside you was getting tired. And now, something is loosening. A long cycle is ending. Not because you failed, but because you finally went far enough. If your intuition has been whispering, stop forcing it, trust the flow, this message is for you. Stay with me. Listen closely. And if this already feels like your story, leave a comment, subscribe, and most of all, trust yourself, because what comes next changes more than you expect. Libra, listen to me for a moment. Not as a zodiac sign, not as a concept, but as one person, you. There is something different about this week. You can feel it. Not in a dramatic way, not with fireworks, but in the quiet spaces between your thoughts. It feels like the pressure is easing, like you do not have to push so hard anymore. You do not have to prove. You do not have to chase. You do not have to hold everything together with your own hands. For a long time, you have been forcing balance, forcing peace, forcing yourself to stay calm while something inside you was asking for rest. And now, something inside you is finally exhaling. This is the energy of flow, not giving up, not surrendering your power, but trusting that you do not have to fight the current to arrive where you are meant to be. Your intuition has been speaking clearly, even when you doubted it, even when you second-guessed yourself, even when you asked why things were taking so long. What is happening now is not random. Nothing about this timing is accidental. It is precise. It is deliberate. It is aligned. This is the moment where life stops asking you to push and starts asking you to listen. You may notice small signs, a feeling of relief you cannot explain, a sense that something is quietly rearranging itself behind the scenes. A moment where you realize you are no longer panicking about the future the way you used to. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. Flow does not mean nothing happens. It means what happens no longer needs force. And right now, Libra, your job is simple. Stay present. Pay attention to how your body responds. Notice what feels lighter. Notice what no longer demands your energy. Because when you stop resisting the current, you start noticing what has been weighing you down all along. There is a calm returning to you, a grounded calm, the kind that comes after a long internal struggle. And you may not even realize it yet, but something you have been carrying for a very long time is beginning to loosen its grip. You do not need to rush this. You do not need to name it yet. Just allow yourself to feel the space opening, because as the flow carries you forward, you may start to recognize something else. A quiet truth, that what you thought you had to carry was never meant to stay with you forever. And as that understanding settles in, as your shoulders relax without you noticing, another layer of this story begins to reveal itself. Not with noise, not with urgency, but with the unmistakable feeling that a long chapter is gently coming to a close. Libra, stay with me, because what you are feeling now is not exhaustion. It is release beginning. There is a difference, and your soul knows it. For a long time, you have been carrying weight quietly, not the kind people see, not the kind you talk about, but the kind that lives in your chest when you wake up, the kind that settles into your shoulders by the end of the day. You took responsibility for things that were never truly yours. You held the balance when others leaned too hard. You absorbed tension so the room could stay peaceful, and you did it without asking for credit, without complaint, without letting the world know how heavy it became. That is who you are, but that does not mean it was meant to last forever. This week, something shifts, not suddenly, not loudly, but decisively. It feels like the moment you finally set a heavy bag down after carrying it for miles longer than you planned. Your hands do not realize it right away, Your body pauses. Then comes the relief. This is the end of a long cycle, not the kind that collapses, the kind that completes. You did not quit. You did not fail. You finished. The pressure you lived under begins to loosen. The constant mental noise softens. The sense that you always had to be the strong one, the fair one, the composed one, starts to dissolve. And in that quiet space, you may feel something unexpected. Lightness. Not excitement, not celebration yet. Just the absence of strain. That matters. Because when a burden leaves, it creates room. And room is where healing begins. You may notice your thoughts slowing down, your breathing becoming deeper without effort. Your nervous system realizing it is finally safe to rest. This is not weakness. This is your body recognizing that the hard part is over. You gave more than enough. You stayed longer than required. You learned what you needed to learn. And now life responds by gently saying, you do not have to carry this anymore. There is dignity in that ending. There is wisdom in knowing when a chapter has done its work. You are not walking away empty-handed. You are walking forward lighter. And as the weight lifts, something else begins to surface. A quiet awareness, a sense that space has opened in your life. You may not know yet what will fill it. You do not need to decide. You only need to notice that it exists. Because when a long cycle closes, it does not leave a void. It creates an opening. And as you stand in that opening, breathing a little easier, standing a little straighter, you may begin to feel it. A subtle reassurance that what comes next will meet you with open hands, and without rushing toward it, without naming it too soon, you continue forward. Because the moment you stopped carrying what was never yours, the universe quietly prepared something real, something grounding, something meant for you to finally be placed in your hands. Libra, take a breath with me. Because what comes into focus now is not abstract. It is not symbolic only. It is real. You have felt the weight lift. You notice the space open. And in that space, something solid begins to form. This is not just emotional healing. This is not only inner peace. This is life responding to you in a tangible way. For a long time, you were asked to hold on without proof. To keep going without visible return. To trust that your effort mattered even when nothing showed up yet. And that kind of faith is not easy, especially for someone who values balance, especially for someone who needs to see fairness reflected in the real world. Now, the universe meets you there. Something begins to arrive that you can touch. Something that grounds you back into your body, back into the present moment. It may come quietly, through a conversation, through an offer, through a number that finally makes sense, through a door that opens not with drama, but with certainty. You recognize it not by excitement, but by relief. This feels earned, because it is. This is the result of staying when it would have been easier to walk away, of choosing responsibility over impulse, of building something piece by piece while no one was watching. You did not rush, you did not cut corners, you did not take shortcuts that would have cost you your integrity. And now, what shows up carries weight in a different way, a stabilizing weight, the kind that brings security instead of strain. It may show up as financial support, as work that finally reflects your value, as a role that sees your capability clearly, as a living situation that gives you room to breathe again. But whatever form it takes, the feeling is the same. You no longer have to survive on hope alone. There is something deeply healing about that, because for someone like you, balance is not luxury, it is necessity, and stability allows your nervous system to soften, your mind to slow, your heart to feel safe enough to open again. This is not luck. This is alignment catching up with effort. You planted seeds during a season when you were unsure they would grow. You watered them anyway. You stayed consistent even when motivation faded. And now, one seed breaks through the surface. You may feel a quiet pride rise in your chest. Not the loud kind, the steady kind. The kind that says, I did this. I did not give up on myself. Let yourself feel that. Because this moment is not asking you to rush forward. It is asking you to receive, to hold what is being placed in your hands without guilt, without questioning whether you deserve it, without minimizing its importance. You do. And as you settle into that truth, something else begins to shift. Your relationship with the future changes. Your posture changes. Your sense of direction becomes clearer. Not because everything is solved, but because now you are standing on something solid, and from that ground, you can finally see further ahead. Not yet rushing toward the next step, just noticing it exists. Because once you allow yourself to receive what you earned, another truth quietly emerges. That this gift is not the end of the story, it is the signal. A sign that you are ready to be seen, to be recognized, and to step into a moment where others begin to notice what you have quietly been becoming all along. Libra, let me stay close with you here, because what rises next is not loud success. It is something far more personal. There is a moment coming where your heart reacts before your mind does. A pause, a breath caught in your chest, that quiet instant when you realize something good has found you. It may arrive through a sound. A phone vibrating when you least expect it. A message that makes you read the same line twice. An email that changes the temperature of the room around you. And before you analyze it, before you question it, your body already knows. This is good news. Not the kind that shocks you, the kind that lands gently, the kind that feels like relief mixed with validation. For so long, you moved through life unseen, not invisible, but overlooked, doing the work, holding the standards, showing up with grace when it would have been easier to pull back. You did not ask to be applauded. You only wanted fairness. You wanted your effort to matter. You wanted your presence to count. And now something reflects that back to you. There is recognition here, real recognition, not flattery, not empty praise, but the kind that says, we see what you have done. And we choose you. This is not a competition moment. You are not standing above anyone else. You are simply standing in your place, the space you earned. There is a quiet confidence that comes with that, a steadiness, a sense that you no longer need to explain yourself. The victory here does not require a speech. It does not need proof. The results speak on their own. And what moves you most may not be the opportunity itself, but the feeling that comes with it. Being acknowledged without having to fight. Being chosen without having to convince. Being celebrated without having to perform. This touches something deep in you, because there were times you wondered if staying true to yourself would cost you, if being fair would mean being passed over, if doing things the right way would leave you behind. This moment answers those questions. No, it did not cost you. It prepared you. You may feel emotion rise unexpectedly, not excitement alone, but something softer, gratitude, release, a quiet pride that settles into your chest. Let yourself feel it. You do not need to minimize this moment. You do not need to downplay it. You do not need to rush past it. This is a marker in your story, a point you will look back on and say, that is when things started to change. And as this recognition finds you, as your name is spoken with respect, as your presence is acknowledged without resistance, something else begins to form beneath the surface. A new sense of trust, not in others, in yourself. Because now you know. You did not imagine your worth. You did not overestimate your impact. You were simply early. And as this moment settles, as the noise fades, as the meaning sinks in, you may notice a subtle shift. The urgency softens, the pressure dissolves, and in its place, a new rhythm begins to emerge. One that does not rush, one that does not demand, one that asks you to move forward carefully, intentionally. Because the moment after recognition is not about speed. It is about choosing how you carry what you have earned. Libra, I want you to hold this moment the way you would hold a glass of water after a long walk, not gripping it too tight, not spilling it from moving too fast, just steady, because when good news arrives, there is a temptation to sprint, to prove you deserve it, to rush before it disappears. But this week, your blessing is not asking for speed, it is asking for precision. Think of a craftsman, the kind who measures twice before cutting once. That is your energy now. Knight of Pentacles energy, slow, intentional, undeniable. You are learning that stability is not boring. Stability is sacred. It is what lets your nervous system settle. It is what protects your future from the mistakes you made when you were tired and scared. So let your pace be calm. Let your steps be clean. Do not let excitement pull you into chaos. You have already lived through enough chaos. If you have a new opportunity, treat it like a seed, not a firework. Give it attention. Give it structure. Give it time. The most powerful things in life are built, not chased. And I know you. You are the kind of person who notices every detail, who tries to make everything fair, who thinks about how your choices affect everyone around you. That is not weakness. That is wisdom when you use it gently. So this week, ask yourself a quieter question. What is the smartest next step? Not the fastest one. What protects the progress you just earned? What keeps your peace intact? You do not need to announce everything. You do not need to explain your plan to people who do not understand your heart. Move quietly, move with strategy, move with integrity, because the universe is not only opening doors, it is teaching you how to walk through them without losing yourself. There is a rhythm returning to you, a rhythm that feels like breathing, in and out, give and receive, work and rest, a rhythm that does not punish you for being human. And if you catch yourself comparing, stop. Comparison is the thief of your timing. It makes you rush a chapter that is meant to unfold. It makes you doubt the path that is already working. Your path is not behind. It is simply yours. Custom built for the lessons you had to learn. Custom built for the life you are about to live. So keep going. One honest step at a time. One aligned choice at a time. You are not late. You are not missing it. You are building it. And as you settle into that steady pace, something even deeper starts to happen. Because when you slow down, you begin to see what you could not see while you were running. You begin to notice the shadows you carried, the regrets you swallowed, the quiet sadness you hid behind a smile. And that is where the next layer of your story begins to glow. It is not punishment, Libra. It is an invitation to refine your standards, to forgive small mistakes, to let patience become your new kind of power, starting right now. Libra, come a little closer here. Because this part of the journey happens quietly. No audience, no announcement, just you and the truth you have been avoiding for a long time. When everything finally slows down, when you are no longer rushing to prove or protect, something inside you begins to surface. Memories, moments, choices you replayed too many times. Not because you were weak, but because you cared. You held yourself to impossible standards. You asked yourself to always know better, to always choose right, to never disappoint anyone. And when things did not turn out the way you hoped, you carried that weight inward. You told yourself you should have seen it coming. You should have done more. You should have been stronger. This week, something shifts in how you see all of that. Not denial, not forgetting, but understanding. You begin to look at the past with softer eyes. You see the context, the pressure, the lack of support you never admitted you needed. You realize you made the best decisions you could with the information you had, while trying to keep everyone else steady. And suddenly, the blame loosens. There is a moment of stillness here, the hermit energy, not isolation, reflection. You step away from the noise long enough to hear your own voice without judgment. And in that space, something warm breaks through. The sun. Not the loud happiness people post online, the quiet warmth of acceptance. You start to understand something deeply human. That growth often comes through mistakes. That wisdom is earned through experience. That perfection was never the assignment. You were allowed to be learning. You were allowed to be unsure. You were allowed to get tired. And for the first time in a long while, you stop punishing yourself for being human. This is where healing truly begins. Not with fixing, not with improving, but with forgiveness. You may notice your inner dialogue changing. Less harsh, less sharp, more patient. You begin to speak to yourself the way you speak to people you love. And that changes everything. Because joy does not come from having a flawless past. It comes from being at peace with it. This week, healing does not arrive with fireworks. It arrives in small moments. A lighter heart. A laugh that feels real. A breath that reaches deeper than before. You realize you do not need to prove your worth to your own soul. It already knows. And as this compassion settles in, as your shoulders relax and your mind softens, you may feel something else stirring, a readiness, not to redo the past, but to move forward without dragging it behind you. There is clarity forming here, a quiet confidence, a sense that you can trust yourself again. Because when you stop judging who you were, you make space to meet who you are becoming. And that is where the light grows brighter, not rushed, not forced, just steady. You are not behind, you are not broken, you are arriving. And as this inner forgiveness takes root, as warmth replaces regret, the world around you begins to respond differently. New conversations feel possible, new connections feel lighter, new opportunities no longer feel intimidating, because you are meeting them from a place of wholeness. And without needing to name it yet, without deciding anything too quickly, you begin to sense it. That something new wants to be built with you now, not out of survival, but out of alignment. And that realization gently carries you forward into the next layer of this unfolding story. Let me speak to you softly here, because what opens next does not come with pressure. It comes with invitation. After the healing, after the forgiveness, after you finally stop fighting yourself, life responds, not with chaos, not with demands, but with possibility. You may feel it as a subtle nudge, a conversation that feels different than usual, a door that opens just wide enough for you to notice, an idea that stays with you longer than it should. This is not coincidence. This is alignment meeting readiness. You are standing at the edge of something new, not reckless, not overwhelming, just unfamiliar enough to make you pause. There is an opportunity forming that asks you to participate, to collaborate, to bring what you know into a shared space. You may not have done this exact thing before. You may not feel completely prepared. And that is part of the design. Because growth does not arrive once you feel ready. It arrives when you are willing. There is a new role here, not one that strips you of who you are, one that allows you to expand it. You are being seen not just for what you can do, but for how you think, how you listen, how you bring balance where others bring noise. And that matters more than you realize. This is not about starting from zero. This is about starting from experience. Everything you have lived, everything you have carried, everything you have learned quietly. It comes with you now. You may feel like a beginner again. But you are not naive. You are seasoned. There is humility in this moment, and there is strength in that. Because when you allow yourself to learn again, you stay flexible, you stay open, you stay alive. This opportunity carries something else too. A shift in how you value yourself, not because someone tells you what you are worth, but because you see it reflected in real outcomes, in compensation, in stability, in being trusted with responsibility. This is how confidence rebuilds itself. Quietly, through action, through contribution. You may hesitate. That is natural. You may wonder if you are stepping too far outside your comfort zone. But notice this. The fear does not feel heavy. It feels curious. That is how you know this door is meant for you. You are not being asked to abandon your values. You are being asked to apply them in a new environment, and the universe is watching how you respond, not to test you, but to support you. You do not need to decide everything at once. You do not need to see the entire path, just the next step, just enough courage to say yes to what feels honest. Because when you meet opportunity with integrity, growth follows naturally. And as you stand here, considering what this new chapter could become, you may notice a quiet shift inside, a sense of direction, a feeling that you are no longer drifting. You are choosing. And that choice begins to reshape your future in ways you cannot fully see yet. But you will. Because once you step into your value without apology, life begins to ask different questions of you. Questions that lead not just to opportunity, but to clarity. And that clarity is already forming. Libra, this is where everything becomes quiet, not empty, clear. After all the movement, after the healing, after the doors that opened and the invitations that appeared, you arrive here, at a moment that does not ask you to hurry. It asks you to be honest. There is a sharpness in the air now, not tension, clarity. You can feel it in the way your thoughts line up, in the way certain options no longer pull at you the way they used to, in the way your body reacts faster than your mind. You know what needs to be released, not with anger, not with regret, just with truth. Some things no longer fit the person you are becoming. Some patterns no longer deserve your loyalty. Some compromises have quietly expired, and you are not confused about that anymore. This is Ace of Swords energy. The moment when the fog lifts, when the story simplifies itself. You stop negotiating with what drains you. You stop explaining your boundaries. You stop carrying possibilities that belong to an older version of you. There is relief in that, and a little fear, because clarity always brings choice. You are standing between two horizons now, two futures, not right and wrong, but aligned and outdated. One path is familiar, predictable, safe in the way habits are safe. The other feels open, unwritten, a little uncomfortable. That is the two of one's moment. You are not being pushed, you are being invited to choose consciously, to move with intention, to stop drifting and start directing. This decision may not be loud. It may not come with an announcement. It may look simple from the outside. A change in plans. A yes that surprises you. A no that finally feels peaceful. A move. A shift. A step beyond what used to feel like your limit. What matters is not the scale of the choice. It is the alignment behind it. You are not choosing out of fear anymore. You are choosing out of respect for yourself. And that is why this moment matters. Because once you decide from clarity, your energy changes. Your posture changes. Your future responds differently. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for signs. You become the signal. This is not the end of your story. It is the moment the story becomes yours again. You may feel a quiet strength settle in, not excitement, certainty, the kind that does not need validation, the kind that stays with you when no one is watching. And as you take this step, whatever it looks like for you, the world does not collapse. It opens. New paths become visible. New conversations feel possible. New versions of yourself feel accessible. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about returning to yourself without apology. That is why this week matters. That is why this moment lingers. Because when you finally choose what aligns, when you let go of what no longer belongs, life rearranges itself around that truth. Quietly, decisively, permanently. And that is why, Libra, this is not just another chapter closing. This is the moment everything begins to change. Libra, before you go, stay with this feeling for just a moment. Notice how quiet it is now, not empty, settled. That quiet is not an ending. It is the sound of alignment. You did not force this shift. You did not rush it. You allowed it. And that is why it feels different. This week was never about becoming someone new. It was about remembering who you are when you stop carrying what was never yours and start choosing what truly belongs to you. If something in this message surprised you, if it felt like someone was speaking directly into your life, that is not coincidence. That is resonance. Let yourself trust that. And if you feel called, leave a comment below. Share what part of this journey touched you. Because when one Libra speaks honestly, another Libra feels less alone. If this space brings you clarity, like the video. Subscribe to the channel, not out of obligation, but because you are choosing environments that respect your growth. And most of all, Libra, trust yourself. Trust the pace you are moving at. Trust the decision forming in your chest. Trust the version of you that is no longer afraid to choose alignment over approval. This is not where the journey ends. This is where it becomes intentional. The next message is already on its way. Another layer, another insight, another reminder that you are supported even when the path feels quiet. Until then, be gentle with yourself. Stay grounded. And remember, when you choose what aligns, everything else begins to follow. I will see you in the next message.